Okay, what I have here is Blue Devil. It's finally ready for assembly, right? I wanted to get a video of this while it's fresh. You see, I got time certs in. These are 10 millimeter time certs, right? It's a huge. I got the time certs on the side of the block. Those are the stock size 6 millimeter, right? Normally the head bolts are 8 millimeter, but these are a much bigger 10 millimeter. You know, get a better clamping force with the 10 millimeter. And the bolts aren't as weak. Anyway, you see that there? I had to get the deck squared. It was a little off center. The left side was a little higher than the right side, right? So it was off just a little bit, but I got everything square and got the bore squared, and the head is right there. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of mods to the exhaust on the head. I'm almost finished with it, but I wanted to talk about the gas ports, right? A guy was like, "Why don't you do a video on gas ports?" So all my pistons you will see have gas ports. The least gas ports you can have is 6. I don't know, you can't see here. There you go. You can see 6, but this is 12, right? So you will see 12, like in you go by sixes. So it'd either be 6, 12, 18, or 24 or whatever, right? So this here is a 12, and this is double. This would be 24, right? Now the reason I go 24 is just you want the pressure to be evenly around the piston, right? And what the gas ports do is, this is the old piston from this engine, right? What the gas ports do is when the cylinder pressure goes in and pushes down on the piston, it goes into these little bitty ports, and that forces this right behind the ring, and it pushes the rings up against the cylinder wall, right? Making the rings stick to the wall and seal up against the wall hard, where without the gas ports, the rings can bounce either from in, just like how you can press like this. You see the ring moving up and down, up and down, up and down. Okay, that's what happens. That's what it's called ring flutter, right? It can go up and down, up and down, up and down, and that causes blow by as well, right? And anyway, you don't want any blow by. That's pretty much the way it is, right? And so when the air hits those gas ports, it forces them out all the way around the bore as hard as possible, and that gives you like a harder scraping. But it does make your bore wear a little quicker than normal. I would say about 25% quicker, I would say, you know. But the added benefit of it is the reason why I do it. If I do anything I pretty much do, and I know it works or it's proven to work, I'm always going to do it. It's not like, okay, well, that didn't work, but let me just keep on doing it for no reason, just to be added expense. It doesn't make any sense, right? I'm going to continue to do what works to an advantage. If this is an advantage over a regular piston, well, that's what I'm going to have, right? So I want all the advantages as possible, because later on, I don't want to look at it and be like, okay, well, I lost. And I lost by 2 or 3 feet, or maybe a quarter of a horsepower. The dude had a little bit more. I want to have that we're at an advantage. Always best to have an advantage, and the advantage be on your side, right? Like you see this piston here is also 3 ring, right? And this is here a new piston, extra piston. Actually, this is a 3 ring gas ported. This is a 3.028, I think. Maybe it's most likely a 3.2, so it's 4 under. 3.028 piston, so it's for a 3.032 bore. But as you see, when I put it in here, I can wobble it around, so it's too small, way too small. But that's the advantage there. You see the gas ports, and it pushes out on the top ring. If you can look in there, you'll see the groove in the inside. It hits the back of the ring and forces the outer part of the ring to scrape up against the cylinder walls. The middle ring is a scraper ring. Unless I run another compression ring in the middle, I don't have the gas port go to the middle ring. But sometimes I have it double gas ported. The same groove will go to the second groove as well. The same gas port hole will go down further to the second hole, right? And it will push out both rings up against the wall, right? And that's kind of what I have in this situation here, you know? So it works out good, and that's the advantage. First of all, the bore is bigger, right? And then this head here is flowing like 181 CFM at 550 lift. And 181 is ridiculous amount of flow. It's pretty much more than what you can get with an average big block welded up GX390 head, right? So I'm getting a little bit more flow than the GX390 big block head, but with a much smaller GX200 block, right? Now, this block isn't going to be small. It's going to end up being 330cc once it's all done. But it's kind of blurry. Let me see. It might be a little bit better. It needs to focus. Let me see. There you go. There you go. You can see it much better. Yeah. So you see the groove. I always tell people about the groove. It has a copper ring in the groove. And the groove goes into the sleeve goes into the groove, and that's how you seal all this flow up. The flow and compression of this, and that's what I wanted to talk about also, right? A lot of people are talking about milling heads, right? Oh man, I want the head to be 12cc, 14cc, or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But the bigger the valves are, the bigger the chamber is going to be. In this case, that's a 39.5 intake with a 32.5 exhaust. Huge. It don't look big on video, but if you had it in real life, it'd be huge, right? But the best way to get compression, right? The absolute best way is to simply make the engine bigger. Instead of milling heads, right? Make the engine bigger. So if you go from a 212cc Predator and stock compression, or let's say even a GX 200 at 196cc, right? The stock compression is like 8 1/4 to 1, and you say, okay, well, I want it to be 12 to 1, right? You can always put a smaller, take the 22cc head off, and put a 14cc head on, mill it a little bit down to 12cc, and you end up with 12 to 1, right? With a flat top piston, right? Or you can just make the engine 3-inch bore, right? 3-inch bore, stock stroke, piston at top dead, at flush to the deck, at top dead center, and the stock 22cc head, right? Compression now is 12 to 1 also, but you making a lot more power. The cubic inches is forcing the head to flow a lot more, and you get more in there, and you compress more, and you make more power, and there you go, right? When you just mill the head, you're still getting the same amount of flow in, and it's compressing into the same tiny engine, right? You're not getting any benefit. You're getting added compression, which may result in an extra pound of torque at the most. If you go from 9 to 1 all the way to 12 to 1, you may get 1 pound of torque, right? But you may end up losing slight amount of flow, you know, because you're making your whole entire combustion chamber smaller, you know. So it's maybe taking in a little less flow. You're shrouding the valves a little bit more, or whatever else you're doing. It's slightly hurting, but it's giving you a little bit more torque. You know, you got to then compensate with race gas or methanol or whatever else. But if you make the engine bigger, it benefits all around, right? It's nothing you can do. You can't beat cubic inches, right? And the good thing about making the engine bigger, you turn it less RPM. You don't have to turn it up with the small stock size engine. You have to turn 10,000 RPM to make 30 horsepower. Whereas the engine of this size, you only have to turn it 7,000 RPM to make 30 horsepower. You know, so it's a huge difference. The benefits of going bigger is longevity of it. You know, you're making a lot more torque, a lot more horsepower. You don't have to turn it up as high. That's why a lot of people go big block. Anyway, before I stop this video, let me let you get in the inside. See, this is how I repair the lifter bore, right? It's stronger than it is when it was brand new. It's a lot stronger.